What's up, you guys? So welcome back to the People Project. I am super excited to talk to my friend Natalia. I've been trying to connect with her for, I don't know, maybe years now. So it's great that we finally get to do this. So I'll start us with the first question. Who is Natalia Weissman?
Well, it's Natalia Diaz Weissman.
Natalia Diaz Weissman. Did I say Natalia right?
Yes, you did, Natalia. Diaz. Yeah, I know. When I was little, especially when I came to this country, they used to call me Natalia, and I'm like,
wrong.
What? Or Natalie. I'm like, that's not my name. My name is Natalia. And I get so mad and like cry. So I am a co-founder and CTO of a company called Blueprint EQ. And we are an emotional intelligence and mental health technology company in education and organizations. So we provide services powered by AI into schools. So anything from risk detection, content flagging. We help improve your emotional intelligence. We provide soft skills resources, and anything that is going to help improve your EQ, because EQ is probably even more important than IQ. So
And so how did that start? Because obviously, like, everyone starts to understand the importance of mental health, but it's usually like during not the most mental health times. And so like, is this kind of, where did this company kind of stem from? Like, how has your life led to leading this front?
Yeah. So I actually have an agency. So I have multiple companies, and it's called Small Wonder Digital. And I've had this agency for the past 15 years. So we build software and digital products for other companies and very fascinating people. And actually, it was a spinoff of a nonprofit project we worked on called Deedly, which was educating students about nonprofits and about giving back to communities. And during COVID, we knew that mental health was something that people were really struggling with, specifically kids, because there was isolation and there was a lot of chaos. And we kind of thought about creating something that would help students improve, or how can we help them regulate mental health. And in 2018, 2019, I can't get the date right, there is a mandate in about 30 states that students had to take one course of mental health per week in school. So that's how Blueprint came about. We started with content first, and then we kind of slowly started to transition to a software sort of AI service company, which is what we are now.
That's amazing. I looked at the website. It was like very impressive. I was like, wow. You guys have like Jim Quick in there and like a couple other cool things.
Because we started working on the content side, because nowadays, especially kids, they don't really resonate to what we did. You know, we wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer. Everyone, all the kids are like, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a football player or an actress. So we started working with a lot of thought leaders, and one of them was Karl Anthony Towns. He's a New York Knicks NBA player. So he dealt a lot with resilience growing up. His mother passed away during COVID, so he loved what we were doing. So he's one of our content creators for Blueprint, and his courses are seen over 1 million students nationwide. But because of that, we also provide LMS resources. As technology advances, a lot of the legacy systems in education are outdated. But also because of AI, we now know how to modernize and how to use AI responsibly in order to help the educational system by improving the emotional intelligence, mental health, because it's not just academically, right? We can academically memorize a lot of things, but if you are not equipped with the right soft skills, communication, critical thinking, resilience, self-awareness, emotions, those are things that you really need to sort of face like the real world. And so I saw a quote from Jamie Dimon recently that he said, soft skills and emotional intelligence are going to be the most important tools that you need in the AI era. He said that, and I was like, wow, I guess we're in the right I guess we're in the right space. And a lot of companies are because of technology, a lot of companies are now looking to see how human you are, what's your connection, And what's your critical thinking background? What's your creativity like? What's your self-awareness like?
So insane.
Yeah.
Because it's really one of those things that I've noticed. So, like younger generations, like their communication skills are a little wonky, right? They have like this digital front that they're used to. Then they interact in a different way, right? Where me and you are used to like shaking the hands, playing with the kids, right? Where like nowadays, like you have Snapchat, you have TikTok, you have like all these digital platforms so where they Roblox or whatever that they're communicating on. How do they then handle I don't want to say stresses, but the anxiety of like social networking or like going into a room of new students or, like that's whole.
It's really bad. Like we, within our platform, we offer journaling, and a lot of companies and classes also offer journaling. They'll offer some sort of chat or interactions. And you wouldn't believe how many students are afraid to talk to their own friends about how they feel. Or, we're like, tell us, what's one thing you want to learn? They're like, I want to learn how to talk to people.
Yeah.
Then one of the most researched Google keywords in the past 2 years was how to make friends.
Wow, how sad. I mean, it's so sad because it's like, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But like some young generations don't necessarily know how.
They don't know how because they're not growing up in the era of like going out publicly
in the park
and being with friends. Yeah. They're extremely introverted. They're kind of isolating themselves. We're like in this loneliness epidemic.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of younger people that don't even know how to introduce themselves. You say, hi, how are you? How's your day going? You're going to say, hey, I'm good. The weather's great. Most young kids are like, hey, how's it going?
True.
Not look at you. There's no like eye contact, and you're like, okay, hi.
I have an 18-year-old brother, and I've engaged with him in that way where I'm like, kind of like, whoa, you don't know how to communicate. And I love my brother, but like, this is something that he needs to work on. Is like interpersonal communication. How do you take the conversation from like, nice to meet you, have a great day, to like, get to know them, get to build a relationship.
It gets like, how do you transition from small talk to like actually connecting with someone? And I think that's a major problem right now in youth. So that's why we kind of started working on these tools that will help you improve that, right? So if you're, and again, there's like mood mapping, and what we call it's like mood check-in. So there's days that you're gonna be sad, there's days that you're gonna have a bad day, and there's a cocktail of moods because you don't just wake up happy. You could be happy, you could be tired, but you can also be stressed out at the same time. So it's like, how do you regulate these emotions, and how can you help confront them and be able to manage them throughout your day that are going to help you perform better? So
it's fascinating. My vibe from the platform that I saw just not without a demo yet was like, it's like a whoop for your emotions. Like it's like literally it felt like I was looking at a Whoop dashboard, and I'm a big fan of Whoop. And so like I was like, this is kind of cool. It's like
you got it right. Yeah. We kind of say that we're the emotional intelligence operating system for the new AI era.
That's so cool.
Because we provide the infrastructure that you can layer in. So whether you have a new platform or an existing technology, whether it's organizations or education, we can power your company or your education or your organization through our tools.
So cool.
So
cool. So I want to like dive a little bit back in the history of you. Like let's talk about your upbringing. Like obviously you're a very successful and ambitious entrepreneur and tech CEO, right? Like what kind of built that? Like how did you go from like young Natalia to who you are today? Like,
it's interesting because like even as a child, I was always very passionate about anything that had to do with science, technology. I was constantly building things, but I was also very creative. So like my left and right brain were like always fighting for attention. And I think that was very helpful because it helped me sort of build this like entrepreneurial sort of brain, but also a builder. I'm a builder at heart. I always want to build new things all the time. I'm always constantly looking for problems. Awesome. I have a engineering background. So for me, it's like, how can I solve that problem to help someone else? And when I was young, my mom saw this in me, and she's like, you were always just focused on doing something and you wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Whether it was drawing all day, whether it was like, pulling apart, I would pull apart computers and put them back together. And I was like 11, 12. I'm just trying to what does that work?
There.
Yeah. And then with Legos and all these things. But I was quite a loner. I was always very isolated because my mind wouldn't stop. But again, back to the emotional intelligence, I didn't know how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And so she put me in this computer programming course when I was 12. And again, back then it was like real computer programming. It's not none of this vibe coding thing. It was like C++, like real actual. And I loved it. And that I found my passion. I found my calling. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever learned. And that's all I could think about. And so I went to very special schools, I would say, like magnet schools. Yeah. For art and science. And that's what I've done throughout my entire lifetime. But also I think from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'm an immigrant. I came from Colombia when I was 8, and seeing my parents struggle, they had like 3 jobs. We didn't have any money to like do anything that was fun. Going to the park for us, that was it. And then we couldn't afford like cool clothes. Like we would shop at thrift shops. That was like our thing. And, we were in a very modest place in a very tough environment. And just seeing my parents go through that, I've always had this mentality. I'm like, I have to do something to get out of this environment. Because if I don't, I'm never going to become something of myself. And my mom and my father are always going to be struggling. Yeah. And even my brothers, I have 2 brothers. And I think just seeing those challenges and having to go through so much adversity as a child, as a teenager, not having even sometimes money to eat at times, right? And I come from a divorce household. My parents split up and it was very tough. Yeah. So I always had a fuel, something inside of me that had to figure it out. It was that drive. I'm like, I have to get out of here. Yeah. Because where I live was very dangerous. Yeah. And also it was just not a good place to just live.
Yeah, you felt the urge of like, well, I need to make something different in my life. And sometimes those, I don't want to say those hardships, but they are blessings in a way because they kind of drive you in a way that maybe someone that has those other blessings wouldn't have the same drive. And so it's a blessing in disguise sometimes. And I feel like...
Yeah, it is because I'm like, I always used to be like, well, I used to be embarrassed to say where I grew up. And I'm like, it's such a blessing that I did because it made me such a resilient person. Yeah. It made me...
It shaped you.
It shaped me. It made me tougher. And then like just to even try to get out of there, it was so hard. We had no money. We didn't. And I somehow ended up getting a scholarship. One thing I will say, I was always like a mega nerd, which is very like always advanced. And I think that really, I use that towards my advantage because I knew my parents will never be able to afford college at all. And so my situation was just very dire. And I knew that if I didn't do good in school, I didn't have any other way to get out.
Yeah. But I'm sure you learned from your parents too, that like immigrant hustle mentality of like, I'm going to work really hard for whatever it is that I do get and have. And so like, I come from like my grandparents were first immigrants as well. Yeah. And like, I just see my grandmother work. And as a first grandchild, I was like seeing her as a kid. I grew up with her pretty much. And it's like that hustle culture of working for survival is something that's so beautiful to get actually identified with or recognition of, because it's like it's such a cheat code for life.
Oh no yeah, like I'm like it's now people are like, oh my god, I work 10 hours a day. I'm like, that's nothing. And I'm like, my mom, I mean my poor mom would wake up at like 5. I now wonder, I'm like, how did she do it? And my mom doesn't work anymore. I spoil her. But the reason I do is because I seen how hard she worked. She would wake up at 5 a.m, take care of us. She had 3 kids. They're all different schools. And then somehow she managed to make it to work at 8 and then gave us lunch. She would actually not have lunch to provide for us. Wow. And then she would come back. She had someone take care of us and then drop us whatever after school program and then another job. So she had like 3 or 4 different jobs because we're also a job, right? Yeah, having kids is a job. And I just admire them. Like, how did you manage to do that for so long and
so many years,
and lose sleep and you kind of you gain that knowledge, but you gain that like almost like I don't know, like appreciation and that drive, because I'm the same way now. Like if I have to wake up at 7:30. I feel like a total loser if I don't. I'm like, oh my God,
the day's going.
Like I'm not one to sleep late, even if I sleep 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, I got to wake up. There's too much to do.
Yeah.
So I think I really picked up that from my parents.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so obviously you go to college, right? You start to develop more of the skills. Tell me about that whole like part of your career.
I went to college for art, and I wanted to be one of those artists, but obviously that was never going to work.
Wasn't the calling? That's okay.
I went to college for graphic design and art, and once I graduated, I had my first job, and I worked in New York City, and it was just like me trying to figure things out. I interned many places, and at that time I think I had an internship at Jive Records. And I knew I wanted to do something with art or creative, but also technology and things like that. And then I, believe it or not, I had a boyfriend at that time, which was in technology. And, this was back in the 2000s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And he said, you're really, really good at math. And you're great at just computers. And this is just like computers were becoming the thing. The internet, I think, had just came out.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you take some computer programming lessons? You already know the basics and the foundations. And I said, that's not a bad idea. So of course I go back to college part-time, because I just feel like I never do enough. So while I was working full-time, I was still
Awesome.
I went back to school, take more computer classes. And then, I learned programming. And then that's kind of how I started my entrepreneurial life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then kind of like, I know you have that agency. Is that kind of an evolution of that into then developing graphic design work and websites? And is that kind of the next step?
Yeah, because I did work for other people, and I said, I always knew that I was just going to own my own business.
Yeah.
I never wanted to work for someone else. That was never my path or sort of my North Star. My North Star is I'm going to own my own business. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to help other people. And that fuel was the drive, was seeing my parents struggle with their bosses. And I said, one day I'm just going to take care of them. And I think that drive in me was, I just want to start my own business so I can take care of my family, so I can get them out of where they are. And that's how really I started, which was I'm going to get some experience by working for others. And then I will start my own business.
And you did.
And I did. And I haven't, that's all I've done since.
That's amazing. And so talk to me a little bit more about your agency experience. Who are some awesome clients you got to work with? Like, what was that like as an agency owner? I know you get to meet some cool people. Like, How was that?
When I first started my agency, I was so scared, right? Because it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My first client. And this was back in the first e-com era. People were just starting to build blogs, and I think Shopify didn't even exist at that time, which is crazy. And I had one person, I said, can you just build a blog for me? Can you help me? And I did. And I didn't even have a name for an agency, but I was like, sure, I'll help you. That person recommended me to someone else. And then, it kind of was a trickle effect. And then I was like, I think I'm just going to open up my own thing. I think I'm going to do it. And I was very scared because I'm like, how am I going to make a living?
Yeah.
Because it's not a steady paycheck.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You don't have that. And obviously you need to pay your bills. You need to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to take care of everyone else. But I had to take a risk, just like everyone else, because if I didn't do it, I am never going to know if I was able to accomplish that. 100%. So I took the risk, and I remember getting a very small office space, and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to be able to pay for this? This is so scary. What am I going to do? And then I met a mentor of mine. His name is Rob Sebastian. He's from Silicon Valley. Someone introduced us, and we got along, and he was that mentor that introduced me to these really big clients that sort of opened all these doors for me.
Wow.
And I remember that he asked me, he's like, hey, do you know how to build apps? Like, I have a client that is looking to build an app. And when he told me what the quote, I was like, oh my God, I've never made that much money.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I've never built an app before, but you know what? I figured it out. I was like, I'm going to figure it out. So I called my partner who's still my partner at this time. And I said, do you know how to build an app? And he's like, no, but I know the programming language that you have to. And guess what? For 3 weeks, him and I studied together to learn Swift at that time. And then we hired someone else, and we definitely built that app.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the first good sign of an entrepreneur, is like you're going to figure it out.
Oh no, we figured it out. We didn't have no clue. And it was a really big company that I can't say, but I was like, I can't believe I pulled that off. But
it's amazing.
Cut to now, I think one of my favorite clients that I worked with that I consider a mentor was Ava DuVernay. She is she's one of the most famous African-American movie directors, producers, entrepreneurs. She was nominated for an Academy Award for the movie MLK. Really amazing human. And she wanted to create something for sort of like a LinkedIn, but for Hollywood, which was people, they call it below the line. So anyone behind the scenes in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it was about inclusivity. And they were looking for a female engineer that owned a business, a software agency that can build this for them, or like build the team together. And
here you go.
Here I am. And finally, someone introduced me, and she goes, I've been searching for you for a while because I haven't been able to find a female engineer, nonetheless, a Latina female engineer.
Yeah.
She's like, they're so hard to find. And then we kind of got together. And at that time, I was already living in LA, and she literally just had an idea. She's like, I want to be able to build something that is going to provide opportunities for people in Hollywood, behind the scenes. So anything from the camera people, from catering, from styling, from anything that has to do with behind the
production.
Yes, production. But it had to be inclusive. So it had to be that you either Black, brown, MENA, and I think that was very important for her. Special needs, all these other things. And so we met, and she's like, look, all I have is sort of the sheet of paper. Literally, she didn't have anything. She goes, I don't know how this works, but I want you to help me figure it out.
That's awesome.
We worked together on this project for 2 years, and COVID hit, and we were ready to launch. But we actually built the product. We launched. We shipped the product with 10,000 users at that time.
Wow.
I think she raised over $10 million from some of the biggest studios in the world. And because of that, I got to meet Ted Sarandos. I got to meet some of the most fascinating people because they were also backers of this platform. And it was a deal she had with Warner Studios and Netflix. And I think she really helped me just build my confidence, because with her, she is a producer. She wants to know that you are presenting in a certain way.
Yeah.
And so as an engineer, you're very much like linear, you very much matter of fact.
Yeah.
And so you are always afraid to like speak in public. And I had that. I'm still not good at it, but I'm really pushing myself. But yeah, she really taught me so much. And she taught me the power of women, which is so important to me, because the women that backed her are some of the most amazing women in the world. So I think she was probably one of the most favorite people that I've ever worked for. And I owe a lot to her because she opened a lot of doors for me too.
Super cool. And then the experience is obviously just that you get from working with someone that caliber is so amazing, because you just build your...
to that tenacity that she has to like talk to you and convince you, but also she has this creativity about her. So she really knew what she wanted to do. She just didn't know how to build it.
Yeah.
And it sold to Ron Howard, to Imagine Entertainment. Ron Howard and Brian Grazer bought Array Crew, which was a company that we built together.
So amazing. Such a cool story.
Yeah.
And also offline, we were talking a little bit about, you were in the early influencer days back in LA as well.
Oh my God.
That's kind of cool. I mean,
I know, I was going through my timeline because this is 2016 trend. And so I met a very young, at that time, entrepreneur. His name is Patrick Finnegan, who is now one of my best friends and closest friends. And we were in New York, and I was looking to build something. I saw that there was a trend with YouTubers. Vine was at that time, and I was looking to figure out that space. And I saw that he was one of the youngest VCs in the country at that time. And I said, I have to go after young people, because they're the generation that, they're going to move the needle. And so I met him, and we clicked right away. And it just so happened, coincidentally, he's like, I have a very small VC fund. It's with Jake Paul and Cameron Dallas.
So funny. funny.
And I'm like, I don't know any of these guys. I don't know who Jake Paul is. I don't know who Cameron Dallas is. But apparently they were really big Vine, celebrities at that time or influencers. And he's like, but they all are out of LA. And I was living between New York and Miami. And I said, well, I guess LA it is. So I packed my bags and moved to LA. Cool. And I said, we're going to build an influencer company. And, Jake Paul was working with Team 10.
Yeah,
and he had all these other YouTubers. And I started working with other influential people. Cameron Dallas was really amazing. And we kind of started building our agency at that time and sort of figured out like how does tech, play a part in that.
Yeah.
And I met a lot of good friends during that time. And it was, now it's TikTok and Twitch and every other
But how does it feel like being so like, it's funny because I also had an agency back in 16, 17. And I remember Gary Vee was like the big thing, like the agency world. And we're like, oh my God, we're so far behind. But fast forward 10 years, we're like, wow, we were so early.
We were early. I know. Early. Sometimes I wish I would have just kept it, but I was like, we were so early.
So crazy to think.
And a lot of them became such huge stars, and they sort of also transitioned into other things, whether it was acting, business, investors. I mean, Jake Paul has probably one of the most famous right now, and he became a boxer. I would have never thought he would be such an amazing boxer, like phenomenal in sports. And I was like, wow, like this is. It's everyone has an evolution. Everyone has their own journey.
100%. It's just super cool to know. Just like obviously, people can start something and it'll evolve into something even greater. But it's also just cool to like know that you can still be early, and if you don't think it is early.
Yeah, listen, I've had a lot of early things, and it's like sometimes you're either too early or too late. So it's a little bit of luck. It's a little bit of timing. It just really depends on where you are. But again, like I never look at those as failures. I don't look at them as like, oh, I should have done this, should have done that, because it got me where I am today.
Yeah.
So whether some worked and some others, I think I needed to go through those experiences to land.
Of course, yeah.
In my position at this point.
Speaking of like difficult times, like is there like a notable time in your life where things got really hard that you were just like challenged in the utmost way, just in life and in business and collectively?
I mean, I can't tell. I mean, even just growing up was hard because I grew up in a very modest home environment. My parents were divorced. My mom, we didn't even have any money. Yeah. We didn't grow up like most kids did, but we managed. And I think that in itself is really hard, especially as a child, especially as you're growing up and trying to figure out who you are. And I think that's why I'm so attached to Blueprint, because I wish I had those tools growing up that were going to help me kind of navigate through these circumstances and like what I had to deal with. But I would say recently I was diagnosed with breast cancer for the third time, and it was back to back. Wow. So I was diagnosed in 24 and I was diagnosed in 25. And I will say that those were the two most challenging years of my life. If I had to just think about the landscape of like challenge, and I've been through a lot of circumstances that really took a toll on me. That I'm still, sometimes I just sit and like just pray and just like thank God, like, wow, I'm still here.
Would you say like maybe God or that faith that you had was something that got you through those times? Because it's tough. I mean, cancer, I can imagine, is so difficult to like, embrace and just be okay with knowing that that's just reality you're dealt with. Like, what was it that kind of got you through that?
Definitely it was faith. Definitely is believing in something of a higher power. And, whether it's God, whether you think it's the universe, whether you think it's something. Yeah. And let's just say I was never very religious, very spiritual. I always knew there was a higher power, but as this happened to me, I became more faithful. Yeah. And I became more involved spiritually. And definitely those times I was praying a lot. Yeah. And I knew God had something to do with that.
You felt his closeness. You felt
for
like
sure
the intimacy with the Lord.
I felt intimate because when you're lying in a hospital bed, you want to get better, but it's hard. There's uncertainties all the time, and I've had 8 surgeries or 9 surgeries in the past 2 years, and they were very intense surgeries. One of them was 7-8 hours, and you're just thinking like, how am I going to get out of this? And you're like, please God, help me. Yeah. I need you to like be here for me in whatever capacity that is. So I think that has really sort of changed the way I believe in things.
Did you ever feel his response? Like, did you ever feel like this was God talking back to you in a way where you're like, thank you, sense of relief almost, or anything that was like notable, like to be like, I am taken care of by a higher power?
It started to kind of dawn on me the second time I had cancer, because I was diagnosed January 2024, and that was a full year of treatment, surgeries. And then I think around February 2025, I started to feel better. But then again, May 2025, get cancer again on my birthday.
Wow.
No one knows that, but I was diagnosed on my birthday. And so that second time, the first time I was like in disbelief, shocked, and obviously just scared out of my mind. Yeah. The second time I'm like, okay, of course I was scared, and I was, just like, I think I was just more like in complete like denial.
Yeah.
It was like that same night I got really drunk.
Like,
I just needed to know myself, honestly. And I was just like, what? Why is this happening to me? And I looked and I thought about it, and I said, okay, God, I know you got me, but you're also trying to teach me something, or you're trying to redirect my life to something better. And maybe I have to go through this for whatever purpose it is.
So beautiful. Yeah.
And you have challenged me again, and you chose me. And whatever it is, I'm gonna figure it out. So I feel like he really was talking to me, and I felt more connected than ever. Like I said, I've never been really anything like religious. I've always been very spiritual. But one time I was just laying in the hospital bed after a surgery, and I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even move my arms because I just had a mastectomy, and like people had to feed me, cut my food, and no one sees that, right? So everybody thinks I have this very glamorous life, but you
struggled.
I struggle. No one sees the times I really just can't even move. And so I'm sitting in the hospital bed by myself after everyone left, and I said, God, I'm going to make you a promise. And I said, if you help me get out of this, and if you help me get better, I'm going to try to help as many people as possible that I can.
Yeah.
If you give me one more day to live, or if you give me more life.
It's amazing.
And I said, I will do that however I can. Just help me get better. Let me live. I'm not thinking about anything else but help me live longer, or just help me live in general, because I knew I had other surgeries that I had to get through and treatments. And so I feel that was something that, I don't know, it was almost like
a confidence
inside of me to keep going, because I had to help other people.
Yeah.
And that would propel me to just keep a very positive mindset getting through this.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that like, it's such a beautiful conversation that's only had in those intimate moments with the Lord, where you're just like, God, I give it to you. If it's in your will, it's in your will, and I will do my part here. And it's so funny, because I do feel like God calls us to all just love others and serve others. And so like, you're basically making a promise to God that he would have loved to hear.
Listen, when you're in when you're at your weakest time, where you feel like you are going to die, or you think you are, you make every promise possible, and you sort of connect to something. Maybe it's not God, maybe it's the universe. I don't know, it could be whatever it is, but you start to connect to a higher power, because you believe someone out there is looking after you, whether, you believe in spirits or angels or anything. I prayed for everyone. Whatever was around me, I was praying for it. And I made this promise though, and to this day, I've been trying to help as many people as I can, because I know that's part of my journey, and I probably think that that's why he chose me. It's because my story can help a lot of other people.
100%. I mean, just thinking about the struggle that you overcame, and like how you are out of it, and you're just still like normal Natalia, just good, healthy, and like, it's such a blessing to see, and it's a testament of his will and power.
It's never ending. I still have one more treatment left. So, but now I'm not scared. I'm like, okay, I just got to get through it. I'm going to feel, sick for a couple of days, but I'm okay.
That's amazing.
And a lot of people now ask me, specifically women with breast cancer, like, how did you get through it? You look so good. Like what a cancer recovery, I call it my, cancer glow up.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do a lot with mindset. It has to do how you confront things when you wake up, how you feel in the mornings. I'll be honest with you, the mornings are so tough for me because the medication just makes me feel like I had a 5-day hangover every day.
Brutal. I can imagine that.
It's just not, yeah, like just don't talk to me before like,
Yeah.
30 minutes because I need to my medication needs to process whatever it gets through it. But I make the best of it. So I've always had this like very optimistic, positive mindset, this ambition, this drive in me that like I have to get out of here. I have to get out of this situation. So even this last year, I had to go through 5 different surgeries, and so every 3-4 weeks, I had a different surgery.
Yeah. Wow.
And treatment. So it was hard because as soon as I'm recovering, I got to go through another one. So I like to describe it to people as if you're surfing. I love to surf.
Didn't know that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of the things I loved. I'm an adventurer. I'm very I'm super risky.
Super cool.
And so I said, when you first learn to surf, you got to get out there. You can't be afraid of the ocean. You can't be one of those people like, oh, what if I drown? What if there's a shark? What if there's this? What if there's that? You start looking at all the negative variables. You're going to be like, oh my God, well, let me not do it.
Yeah.
But you just have to get that surfboard and go.
Yeah.
And you know that not that you're going to drown, but you know that the wave's going to come at you. You're probably going to get pummeled by a wave a few times. And that's how it would have felt like to me. I'm like, okay, this is like surfing. So it's going to hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, get off that board. I'm probably going to fall off. And I have to pick myself, I have to pick my surfboard, go back into the ocean, throw myself again, knowing that the wave's going to come, put me back down. But eventually, I'm going to ride that wave.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an analogy that I like to use. Yeah. Because that's me. I felt like I was drowning, and I feel better again, but I have to go surf again and try it again to make sure I
It's a future book for you, getting back on that surfboard.
I'm definitely getting back on that surfboard soon. That's everyone's like, what? They're like, what is it with you? Like, you
it's a
can't.
Good book title though, like thinking about your life. Like,
my girlfriend Lauren's like, do you always have to pick the hardest things to do? Like, why can't you just be normal and just go to the beach? Because right now I have this like obsession to go swim with the orcas in Norway.
That's awesome. That's crazy. That's
and awesome. People are like, didn't you just go through enough? And they're like, and one person's like, those are killer orcas.
The killer whales.
I'm like, yeah, I'm still gonna do it.
That's awesome.
That's my personality. Yeah. So I think because of that, it has helped me get through some of the worst situations in my life. And some of the things I've done, probably I wouldn't recommend for anyone to do. I once climbed a glacier in Switzerland. I think a lot of people don't know that either.
You gotta send me those pics. We can put them up.
Oh my God. That's crazy. No, it was intense. It was like 3,800 meters. I think it's 15,000 feet altitude.
Insane.
And so it wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
But
you were along the ride.
I went along for the ride, and I really thought I was gonna hike something like Running Canyon. Like, oh, okay, I could do this.
Casual.
Yeah, casual. No. Yeah, okay. No, they were like, no, you need like proper gear and you need to train. I'm like, for what?
What are we doing?
And then you're in altitude. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I getting myself into?
That's so
cool. I'll never forget. It was like, they're like, no, we start 2:30 in the morning in like pitch like darkness in Switzerland in the Alps. Yeah. And you're like looking at this glacier, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta hike that.
One of that.
I gotta go on that thing. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I can't. And then what really got to me was all men. I was the only woman in that sort of cohort of groups. And I'm like, you got to do this, Nat, because you're the only female, and you got to do it for all the females because I'm all about female empowerment.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let me just do it. And I was so paranoid, but the adrenaline as you're hiking this mountain, this glacier, you're like, I can't look back.
Yeah.
And as we are ascending, I guess, you have to understand this is like ice and there's crevices.
It's insane.
If you fall, not to sound like bad or morbid, you die. They're 80 feet deep. I don't know how you'll get out of there. Maybe you can, maybe you're not, but you're. So like as I'm hiking these crevices, I'm like, and this is before my first cancer diagnosis. The first thing I was like, Nat, don't die. Like you're gonna be okay. You're gonna make this. And you have your guide and the person behind you, and they're guiding you and they're pulling you because you're attached to the rope. So you have to follow their lead, and you have to follow like their energy. You have to match their energy. And I'm like tired. I'm like it's 9 hours of hiking. And so as you're ascending, this is like pure, like just that you look down. And when I looked down, I went into a full panic attack. Like I was like, why did I do that? and now the snow is up to here and you're like really up, you know, in a mountain. But I did it. Yes. And I got back down, and I don't know how.
You're alive.
Maybe I'll do it one more time.
That's
if I built the resilience and the stamina, the endurance, I probably would do it again. But I think that experience helped me get through my first cancer diagnosis, because you're going through all these testing and MRIs and surgeries and everything, and I'm like, you climbed that mountain. That was harder than what you're going through. Not to discredit, because going through any kind of cancer, it doesn't matter whether it's stage 0, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And so to me, that helped me get through that, because they're like, if you can get through that, you're gonna get through it. You're gonna deal with it. And it's hard, you know, going through treatments is hard. Doing chemo, radiation, like it sucks the living life. I couldn't even walk to my kitchen.
Wow.
I could not get out of bed. Like, walking down, and I'm, as you know, very active.
Yeah.
I couldn't even walk down the block. I couldn't make it. I was that tired. I was that exhausted. And mentally, you're thinking about, like, how do I get out of bed and how do I work? Because when I was going through radiation, which I thought was also really, because it tires you more. It's really tiring. I had to re-engineer my entire schedule, because my peak energy was at 4 a.m.
Wow.
Because I had to get my radiation treatments were at, I believe, 1 or 2 o'clock slots. So around 11 o'clock, I start losing so much energy, you feel depleted.
Yeah.
And by the time you get radiation, you go home and you just pass out. And so I re-engineered my life to go to bed around 7. By 4 a.m., I'm up working. And people are like, how are you even like working at that time? And I'm listening to Tony Robbins and things that can motivate me.
Yeah. And
I try to do a little bit of a walk, just do anything that can get me motivated. But I had to do that in order to feel normal.
Yeah. To keep your cadence going in life, because if not, you get sucked into the dwelling of, like, my life is in a terrible place from my perspective.
It happens, unfortunately, to a lot of people.
So sad, yeah.
So, but re-engineering your mind, re-engineering your life, and knowing that if you have those peak times, whatever it is that you're doing, try to make the most out of that time, because time is so valuable. So if I knew that from 4 to 8 in the morning, that was like my peak times. I felt better. I didn't feel like I was hungover. I didn't feel depleted. I was fresh. I'm going to use that time wisely, and work is kind of what distracts me. So yeah, I mean, I had to do what I had to do to run a business, because when you're an entrepreneur, as much as you think that doesn't matter, it does matter, because you're thinking about your employees, you're thinking about your business, you're thinking about how do I move this forward, although I feel like I can't do this. So yeah,
it's amazing testament to what could be done if the will and resilience is there, because it's not easy. I mean,
it's not.
Just doing it without any kind of medical difficulty is hard enough.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
Like, medical is a lot harder, I'm sure. So next 5 years, what do the next 5 years look like for you? What are you excited about? What do you have in the horizon?
I don't look at life like that anymore. I look at them as like micro quarters. Like, what is my quarter gonna look like?
Cool, yeah.
I just think I've had so many life experiences with curveballs. After last year, I'm like, I don't even know what, I'm not sure what 10 years is gonna bring, 5 years. But I am excited to grow our company, Blueprint. I think emotional intelligence and soft skills is going to play a really important part in AI.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what technology is going to be like in the next 5 years. I think 5 years from now, our worlds are going to be very different.
Yeah.
So me as a technologist and as a futurist, I'm just excited to see that, because I growing up, I was always picturing what the future would look like, and that Jetsons era or whatever movie you would watch. And I think just empowering other people through my story and just helping others. So I want to see if I had to say in the next 5 years what's going to look like, I want to see what and who the people I helped, what they're going to be like in the next 5 years.
Exciting. So that's a good leader, when you know that you're inspired to like see where you're.
Yeah, it makes me happy seeing that I helped someone, and then 5 years from now, they're in a better place. So I like to see that.
Amazing. Well, it's been a privilege and just an amazing conversation, and I'm glad we got to finally connect. And
Me too.
I just look forward to continuing watching your life, and just
Thank you.
You have an amazing vision and mission. So like, it's super exciting to see you. And yeah, like I thank you for coming on. Anything else you want to leave the audience with that you like to share?
Just help others and they will help you, or God will help you.
It's amazing.
So,
it's beautiful.
Be resilient.
There you go, guys. So here we have it. Natalia Diaz Weissman. Weissman, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Come back soon.